everyone. Welcome. Good evening. Oh, that's much better. I think I project louder. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'd like to reconvene our meeting. And if you could all rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we'll start with our superintendent's report.
Yep.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, the neighbor. So, one of the things I'd like to start off is with the winter holiday, an opportunity to hear students from Forest Roads Parks. I see them going to get them, and if you've had the opportunity, those parents who are out there in the audience, you had an opportunity to see the concerts. I had an opportunity to go all three, just wonderful performances, and want to thank all of our parents who, this is a season to also celebrate you and the time that you take to nourish and foster a learning environment for your children at home and giving them opportunities to explore their passions. And one of them is through voice. Singing, but it's also a way of communicating. And let's not talk about the level of deep breathing that one has to do with singing. I cannot sing. So I always respect that art. The instruments themselves, the pieces, our music teachers here give them very serious composition. So it's not as if they're reading simple sheet music. They're really being challenged. And so I see the Forest Road Chorus coming into the building. Yes! Forest Road Chorus. Yes. Excited. We're so excited.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I am so happy to introduce to you the Forest Road Chorus. We have 2 selections for you tonight from our winter concert. The first one you'll be hearing is a piece called Child of Peace by David Wagner. Thank you very much. Goosebumps every time. Our last thing for you is called Various Themes on Follow-Up. It takes a very familiar tune, Deck the Halls, and takes you on a bit of a journey through music history. So with that, we're going to send you into the holidays. So with a smile on your face, have a happy day.
Another round of applause for the chorus. Chorus, whoa, chorus. Excellent job, guys. Excellent. Woo! That's right. Children of peace. He's so proud. No, thank you. So,
Yeah, there's-
Congratulations to all the parents and performers. You are welcome to stay, but you don't have to. We're welcome to keep you, that's for sure.
okay, so I would like to, the next on my superintendent's report of the global leaders of tomorrow advisory council update. So as you know, this year we have a total of 10 members who are students from grades 4, 5, and 6. We've met 2 times. These members meet during their lunch. They take time away from their peers to engage in serious conversations about how they are going to encourage their fellow classmates and peers to see how they can make a difference in their community. And one of the things that we focused on was exploring the 17 United Nations Global Sustainable Goals. And in the first meeting, after reviewing it, we began to ask ourselves, because when they applied for the advisory council, they had to review the 17 goals and identify for themselves the goal that they felt was the most important to them. So in the first meeting, we discussed, okay, so how do you think we're going to find out about what the rest of your peers would like to do? And some of them said they were really going grassroots. They were like, well, we can go around, with a billboard and just get our classmates' opinion. I'm like, okay, that'd be like about 400. Like, how are you going to do that at lunch plus eat? So I let them go through the conversations and let them have a voice and let them, figure it out on their own. So someone said, well, they have us using Google Forms. Why can't we use a Google form? I'm like, all right, so what do we need to do? Like, we just want to find out what's the most important to them. And if they could give us some ideas of possible solutions, that would be another way to do it. So after they agreed and talked like 2 or 3 members off of the let's go grassroots with the clipboard and let's go electronic 21st century, we decided to move forward, and we decided the next time that we meet, we can look at the data. In between that time, we also sent them from my office some flyers that they could distribute during lunchtime to rummage up some of their peers so that when they went back to the classroom, they could remind their teachers of the fact that they needed to review the video and take it. And so in the second meeting in December, we met, they reviewed the data. And it was amazing, their opinions about the results. And I'm not going to give it all away because they voted and 3 individuals were chosen to give an update, and they decided to do it electronically, virtually. And so they did a video, and here you'll get a sense of where they were, and you can show that on next
Sure.
to me. Thank you.
Our global leaders of tomorrow's advisory council have had 2 meetings so far with Dr. Garcia France. They came together to develop the survey to share with their peers in grades 4, 5, and 6. They wanted to gain feedback from their peers on which UN Sustainable Development Goal they should focus on for the 22-23 school year. Listen in to hear what some of our global leaders of tomorrow from our advisory council have to share with you.
Hi, my name is Xavier. I'm in grade 6 and I go to Shaw Avenue School. Throughout the 3 schools in the district, the goal most kids picked was goal number 2, zero hunger. And moving on, we are going to try to tackle this goal by helping out the local community food pantries and giving out food in the community. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Yusuf Hussein. I'm from 4th grade and I'm from Shaw Avenue School. And for the update for the Board of Education, 424 responses were submitted from a lot of students. and most of them were from Chamonix School. And the topic that was voted for the most wanted was zero hunger. And I think personally zero hunger was picked because in school we talk about it a lot, and in occasional holidays like Thanksgiving, it comes up a lot. And I think that it's also it's a really important topic, and some of the solutions were a bit, well, they wouldn't work, but they were good ideas. And there was a solution that really came out to me, and it said that we could do a food drive for the whole world. I don't think that would work, but if we did a food drive for the community, that would be a big help.
Hi, my name is Ava Lamb, and I am a proud member of the Global Leaders of Tomorrow. Today, I'm going to be talking about goal number 2, which is in the global goals, zero hunger. It is unfortunate that some families, and especially kids, suffer from zero hunger in our world. So here are some ways we can stop it. We can keep our soils and water clean. We could use less water. Reduce food waste. Response to a refugees crisis. Donate food to the less fortunate. So there you go. Those are the ways we can stop zero hunger. We can all come together and make zero hunger officially stop. I hope you enjoy this. Bye.
The days that I have that meeting are like my best days ever. I'm so inspired, and it's why I do what I do. And as you can see, really, and this is a small sample of the entire district. When we give our students an opportunity to sit down and listen, they understand issues and they have opinions, as you could hear. I feel, in my opinion, it's amazing. So what will happen next, we'll meet in January. We will have advisors assigned to each of the grades, and we will support them as we figure out their civic project that they will do that will focus from grade 4 on a school level, a classroom level, grade 5, a school-wide project, and then grade 6, district/community project. And what was interesting, across all grades, they all chose zero hunger, because you never know what you're going to get. So we thought we were going to see 3 different goals. But as you heard one of the advisors say, because of the things that we do in the schools, it may have led to that. And that just makes me think as well, because that's wonderful feedback. Are we equally looking at other areas as well? Because out of the mouth of babes, they will tell you all the time. So again, we're thankful, and we knew it was late and we didn't want them to come out. So they were creative and easy for them to go on to do a video for the board tonight. The next on my agenda would be policy.
Sorry about that.
That's your policy. That's
There you go.
So this will be the first reading of policy 4526.1.
Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? So we are having a first reading of policy 4526.1 and 4526.1, the regulation. This is our district's internet safety policy. So in doing a side-by-side comparison between the updated NISBA policy of 2017 and our original policy, which was adopted in 2010, it is very much identical. The only difference was there was a reference to Law 18 USC 2256, which is just definitions for that chapter. I could share those with you outside of the board meeting if you'd like to, as well as we changed the title of myself from network coordinator in the original policy to director of 21st century learning and technology. Does anyone have any questions on the new proposed policy? Okay, if no further questions, do we have confirmation to move this through for a second reading?
Yes.
All right, Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have to say that right now, our Director of 21st Century Learning and Technology is going through an audit and is making sure that all of us are doing the trainings or EdLaw 2D, cybersecurity, to ensure that, especially during this time of the holiday when there's so many hackers out there, to make sure that as a district we're protecting the data that we house, not only for our students, but for our staff as well.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
You're welcome.
And so now you can share with us your
Great.
technology budget.
Okay, so thank you very much. This is going to be the proposed 23-24 VS30 technology budget. So myself, I'm the Director of Technology and 21st Century Learning, and one of the things that I prioritize and take pride in is really trying to find ways to cultivate the way children utilize technology. So this is kind of like the guiding star along with our strategic plan. So we try to find ways for them to use technology to not only access, manage, and integrate information in a purposeful and ethical way, but we want to find them to use it in a creative way as well. So the purchases we make, the practices that we participate in, is all geared towards that 21st century learning framework. So our technology overview for the district, we have a lot of great things going on. So currently we are one-to-one with our devices. In grades pre-K to third grade, we have iPads, and they're on a 4-year ongoing refresh cycle, with the next year being calling for the refresh, being the 23-24 school year. Our 4th grade through 6th grade students have Chromebooks. Teachers were equipped with iPads and MacBooks to guide their instruction, and they're also on a 4-year ongoing refresh cycle. Every classroom has been equipped with smart boards, so they do a lot of great things with those. All buildings also have mobile digital media labs, and what this does is for those students who have Chromebooks right now, these digital media labs are a great outlet for them to utilize and make creative projects with iMovie, GarageBand, green screens. Clearstream also has a digital art lab, and one of the things that I think we should really take pride in is that our Shaw Avenue School has one of the first interactive gym walls of Long Island. So it's kind of like a Dave & Buster's right in our own elementary school. For our network, last year we proposed the full core refresh on the budget. So this year, currently, we are just wrapping that up. It was about a $750,000 project where we upgraded our wireless to Wi-Fi 6. We have all new access points throughout the buildings. We added FiOS as our internet service provider. So currently we have Optimum, which is a backup for our phone lines. We use BOCE's Bowtie and as well as FiOS. So we have great ways of strategically rerouting traffic to maximize the bandwidth. We have advanced offline backup capabilities. So right now what's happening is there's a lot of new design to malware and viruses, which hackers are targeting backups. So we've got backup systems that pull backups and they remove themselves from the network so that malware cannot penetrate through. So that's one of the big ones. We also have battery backups. So in case there are rare occurrences of blackouts or power surges, these backups kick in and allows us to continue our operation for up to 2 hours. This needs to be refreshed for the 23-24 school year. We started refreshing those backups last year, and we need to finish off the rest of them for this current, for next year coming up. So our cybersecurity district technology overview, we're going to continue our partnership with CrowdStrike. And this is one of the greatest things about CrowdStrike is that they offer our district 24/7 live security operations center team coverages. So what that means is that we have eyes on our network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, during the most vulnerable times of weekends and holidays, when usually that's when the targets actually happen. People are monitoring our network. We have advanced automatic threat hunting and response systems in place. So they're scanning our network for any abnormalities and any anomalies that are taking place. And we're getting detailed notifications about that if those do occur. We have not had that yet, but all in good faith. And they do provide us with detailed root cause analysis and reports. This is so important because we also learn now if there is a penetration to our network, we get to find out where it came from, where it was traveling, and we could better patch that up. On the front line for us, we have Barracuda filters and firewalls. So these are email filters, web filters, and the firewalls pretty much are the fence that allows certain traffic in and keeps certain traffic out. It's kind of like that barrier for our network. One of the best defenses I feel is just properly educating our users. So we do a steady dose of fish line training campaigns, and what this is, we're sending out mock emails to staff that are phishing emails, and the whole goal here is to get them to actually click on it. When they do click on that link, what it does is it takes them to a little training page, explains why that email was a phishing email. This is one of the ones that we sent out recently. You can see here. Just highlight on that for you. So it's an Amazon gift card. It tells you how much the gift card's for. And this is one of the more popular ones. So for the upcoming 23-24 technology focal points, we have 3 main projects I'd like to highlight. An iPad refresh for 2 grades. We're going to finish off the UPS refresh, which is the final phase of our complete network refresh that started this year, as well as a new gym projector for Forest Road. So for the iPad refresh, it's a refresh for 2 grades, and that's scheduled for the 23-24 school year. The older devices will be repurposed to media carts, as well as loaner devices for the buildings. And the great thing about this is that we have grant funding, which is going to expire for next year, that we can use to supplement the cost of our iPads. So we could spend around $57,000, or the cost for 1 grade will be purchased through grant funding. So for our UPS refresh, there's 5 components to this. It's the actual battery, the extended batteries, the network cards, and the environmental sensors. Now, technology in our district has grown exponentially, from our instructional platforms to the cameras to the heating systems to the doors. Everything is running through the network. Anytime there's a blackout or a power surge, or these devices for our servers shut down instantaneously, it's very common for these devices to get damaged. So what the UPS does, again, it will provide us with an extended period of time that when this power outage does happen, the network will switch over seamlessly to our backup batteries. Now, it's not for an extended period of time or for a permanent solution, but that does buy the tech department enough time to make critical decisions, bring in the proper people, and if worst case scenario, we can't get the network back by the time those 2 hours are done, we're able to shut down the network slowly and safely as not to damage the equipment that we just invested so highly in. So what people don't know is that on a yearly basis, the technology department spends around $35,000 on the old UPS batteries to maintain them properly. So what's happening on a consistent basis that people don't know is that there's an inconsistency in the power flow. So what the UPS batteries do, that's a second feature, is that it regulates and makes perfections and corrections in the imperfection power flow. So it has to get just the right amount of voltage, just again to sustain the lifetime of our battery. So again, these batteries are about 6 years old. And one of the best features about this is that it's BOE available. So over time, the district will get approximately around $70,000 back for this project. The Forest Road gym projector and screen are in need of a major facelift. Those are quite old, and the actual light from the projector is so dim that even when the lights are off in the gym, it's very difficult to see. As you can see up here. Whoop. One more. There you go. It's actually separating from that tension cable. So what happens on a daily occurrence is that when you try to lower this screen, it actually takes around 20 minutes for that screen to lower. You have to get it just right so it comes down slowly and properly. That's a lot of time wasted right there. Now, the thing about the Forest Road Gym is that it's a multi-purpose room. So there's assemblies, PTA meetings, back to school night assemblies or meetings. So it's used frequently, and the projector is used frequently. So we would be equipping the gym with a projector that produces 7,000 lumens, which is enough to make it high definition and 4K in the most brightly lit room. And we would get a new screen that is also 4K compatible. These are the professional softwares that the district is using. We're going to continue to utilize the Axio 360 platform. It's the platform that we use to organize our NIST materials and our EdLaw 2D compliant artifacts. We'll continue to utilize Parent Square, which is our parent mode of communication. Veeam at the top left, that's our backups right there. And Incident IQ is, again, that is the software that's new to the district, and we're using that for our asset inventory and our asset organization. So when it does come down to the audit season, we pull up that platform, which organizes all of our information nicely. The instructional software we're going to be using right here, Book Creator in the top right, that has been one of the more popular platforms, provides our students with a lot of creativity and student choice and ways that they want to express themselves with videos and audio and text display. Learning A to Z, Padlet, EduTyping. Again, we're going to continue with all of these softwares. So the proposed technology budget for the 23-24 school year is $1,473,600. That is an increase of $70,600, which is roughly a 5% increase. Please keep in mind that this does include the once every 6-year purchase of those UPS batteries, which does cost around $120,000 for that project. If we remove that project from the school year, our annual budget for the 23-24 school year is actually close to $50,000 cheaper or less than it was the previous school year. Now, that does include the iPad refresh, but again, we have that grant funding for this current school year coming up that we can use to supplement the cost, which is roughly $57,000 for one grade's worth of iPads. So just to touch upon that UPS project capital breakdown, again, that total cost is roughly $120,000. After we do receive the BOCES aid over time for $70,000, it will cost the Valley Stream 30 taxpayers roughly $50,000. Our technology budget breakdown continues to be dominated by the BOCES budget line. The next big budget line is our 13% of the budget, which is the computer supplies, where we get that iPad refresh for the next school year with 2 grades, does fall there. Within that BOCES breakdown, our out-of-district network support from the Switch Technologies roughly takes up 49% of the BOCES breakdown. Subscriptions are 21%. Software purchases are 12%. Cybersecurity and data privacy are 8%. And again, this is all money that the district will be getting back over time. So for the 23-24 school year, in the devices category, there is an increase to the computer supply line. Again, we will be refreshing 2 grades worth of iPads. Again, that cost also will be supplemented through the Carissa grant. For apps and software, there really is no expected increases. We will continue to use them or make the majority of our purchases through BOCES as a way for cutting costs and again, receiving aid back to the district. Our personnel, our technicians, our administrative assistants, our tech aides in the buildings, there will be no staffing changes for the 23-24 school year. For our network and our infrastructure, There is a slated increase due to that UPS project, but again, that will be purchased through the BOCES line. And that's a purchase that occurs every 6 years, so it is not an annual purchase, but it is a purchase that's very important, and it definitely needs to happen. Our BOCES line will increase as we continue to make major software purchases for the district, as well as hardware purchases. And for cybersecurity, there are no anticipated increases for the 23-24 school year. That is our technology proposed budget for the 23-24 school year. Any questions?
How long will it take for the BOCES aid for the UPS project?
To come back to the district?
Yeah.
I believe it's not the actual, the following school year we get it back.
Thank you. Good.
So you mentioned the iPad refresh. What about the other computer refresh? When does that happen?
The other grades worth
Yeah.
of computers? So it's every year. So starting from next year, we're 2 grades. The following year will be another 2 grades, and we continue going
That's the
staggered.
iPads, though, but what about the one-to-one devices that the others are having? When do they get refreshed?
The Chromebooks?
Yeah, the Chromebooks.
So those are, this is year 3 of those.
So they have another year and then they.
Another 2 years.
Another
of
2
those.
years. Okay, thank you.
So the Chromebooks get refreshed every 5 years?
Every 4 or 5 years.
Okay, thank you. I don't have a question, just a comment, thank you.
You're welcome.
Detailed, and I'm happy that you answered about Forest Road getting a new gym projector, because my note was like, well, what's happening in Forest and the shore wall and the lab, but,
You're
I didn't miss the
welcome.
moment with that, so.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming
Thank
out.
you.
You did a great job, honey. You're welcome.
Have a good night, guys. Yes.
Okay, so next on the agenda is enrichment for all update by Jennifer Lunar, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction.
Good evening, everyone. So in the spring, there will be a complete strategic plan update around enrichment, all components that we have here at Valley Stream 30. This is particular to our enrichment for all children support. That we did revamp last year when Miss Sue Galgano came on board as our enrichment for all teacher. So she has done a tremendous job in really looking at grade level experiences that are aligned to engineering, design, ELA, math, and science standards across all of the grades. Next slide, Mr. Amaro. So here speaking again to our instructor, Ms. Galgano is our one enrichment for all specialist. So she does travel to all 3 school buildings. What is very unique, you will see on the next slide, I'll speak a little bit more about the schedule, but we have scheduled this out so a grade has this opportunity for an entire marking period. So they get to dive a little bit deeper by having that support in more of a closed setting and in a marking period. So Ms. Galgano does have the support of also classroom teachers and the building STEAM aides when she is pushing in and working with students for the planning and implementation of their projects. So taking a look here at our schedule, marking period 1, our 3rd, 4th, and 6th grade students are currently finishing up their modules. When we come back from break, Ms. Galgano will be working with kindergarten, 1st grade, and 5th grade, and marking period 3, she will be supporting 2nd grade and 6th grade. You will notice that 6th grade does receive enrichment for all marking period 1 and marking period 3. The decision was made here in terms of preparing our students for the transition to the high school district. So part of their transition, they complete an individualized performance review in Naviance. And a component of that is their career inventory that they take. So in marking period 1, Ms. Galgano is actually beginning this work by introducing financial literacy. And they get the groundwork there for them to build on this and the career aspect of financial literacy in marking period 3.
And we were very excited to last year, for the first time, have our 6th grade career expo, which we had a number of parents who joined us, who spoke, as well as alumni. So we are looking to expand on that once again this year. So diving into our modules, taking a look at kindergarten, and this was a place that Ms. Galgano really spent some time over this past summer working on, is focusing on a growth mindset with some of our youngest learners here in the district. And that's so important to instill at a young age, because while they're taking on these STEAM-based challenges, it's important for them to understand what grit and perseverance is as they're working through these activities. A piece that we had actually started a number of years ago, back when Ms. Bonacorso was here working with Ms. Epstein, was the integration of fairy tales, which is a critical part of the 1st grade literacy curriculum. And they take a look at some of our beloved characters and stories and how they can kind of save the day, so to speak. So taking a look at Rapunzel in the Tower and the design and constructions to help support these main characters we all know. In 2nd grade, this particular module is actually built off of our Science 21 curriculum, where our 2nd grade students get to take on the role of an engineer that designs a playground made of recyclable materials. In 3rd grade, you'll see that our students are using a technique called the Scamper model, which is really a thinking process for their engineering and design. And this work starts here in 3rd grade, and you'll see that they apply it as well in 4th grade. So our 3rd grade students are replicating their own miniature Kane's arcade. And what's so exciting this year is that our students were able to come back together and collaborate with one another. So last year was the first year that we actually did this module. Ms. Galgano did an outstanding job making it an individual project. But this year, it's really adding to the 21st century skills by giving our students the opportunity to collaborate with their peers. Our 4th grade students are now taking their knowledge, also science-based, of simple machines, and able to work with peers to build their own Rube Goldberg machines. And she's currently working this week to finish up with both 3rd and 4th grade. Their culminating project, besides their creations and their planning process, is through Book Creator. So those links will be posted in the January CST newsletter that gets pushed out through Parent Square. Our 5th grade students last year had started this, and will also have more of an opportunity this year to work with peers, is utilizing Sphero, which is a tiny little glow-like robot that can be coded, and they actually engage in storytelling through coding this little mini bot that you see there in the bottom right corner. So how they do this is through the integration of sound and lights that helps to tell the story. And a little bit of what I had shared already in terms of our 6th grade students who do have these 2 modules. Their 6th graders are currently finishing up their iMovie trailers about one particular component in financial literacy that they've learned about so far. So speaking about budgeting, about different forms of payment. So those are being finished up and will be shared in the January newsletter as well. This was actually Zach Gowan, who was our keynote speaker from our Career Expo last year. Ms. Epstein and Ms. Galgano have already begun to look for our keynote speaker for this year's Career Expo. And here is what the best part is, getting to see our students in that creation phase and getting to work once again with their classmates and really talk about the design process, what works well, what adjustments need to be made. So we are super excited to see how this program continues to grow and that our students really have this opportunity now to come back together and work as a collaborative team. Are there any questions?
I just want to say thank you. I think we are all very proud of the work that we're doing in District 30 to see our students actually have hands-on. I know my son came home and was like, "Mom, how much do you pay for life insurance?" I'm like, "Why are you like, what's the health insurance? What are you talking about?" And he was speaking about the class, so I thought that was interesting. Definitely gonna ask him for.
And so, next we'd like to, Brian, Audit Committee.
Thank you.
Yeah. Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Last Monday night, the Audit Committee of LSU 30 met. There were 2 items on the agenda. The first one was a presentation by Brendan Nelson of R.S. Abrams to go through the claims report for the 21-22 school year. Of the 2,380 claims, 8 were looked into by the auditing company, which is about 1/3 of 1%. And Brendan did say at that time, at last Monday, that about 3 to 5%, or about 90 items of a district of our size are usually looked into. So we're about 1/10 about the amount. So thank you goes to the business office, in particularly to Roseanne Calici, who keeps us in line for purchasing to make sure everything's done correctly. The second item on the agenda for last week's audit committee was the corrective action plan for the external audit of last year. So back at the October audit committee, Alan, you presented the results of the audit of the 21-22 school year, and attached to the audit is a management letter, which gives suggestions or items to look into on behalf of the district. There were 2 items on that management letter. One was to continue to review the balances for grants. It was kept on basically because we do have a lot of grants for this year and next year going forward through the CARISA grant and the American Rescue Plan Act. So that was to basically continue to look into that throughout the year and make sure we balance ourselves out. If we do spend money in the grant, to do request it from the New York State, which we probably usually do on an annual basis, usually at the end of January, to keep ourselves so our balances don't grow large. The second item was to actually review board policy 6645. Basically, the accounting rules changed this past year and actually coming forward for another year to include intangible assets to be treated differently than they were in the past. So this past year, leases, which for the most intents and purposes in our district are the copiers that are in each school and the main offices. We lease those through BOCES. We have to account for them differently than we did in the past. So, but our policy does not include the word intangible on that policy. This coming year, we have software-based infotech items also to be handled the same way. They're another intangible asset that will be on our books. So Cullen Danowski is asking us to review that policy to possibly put the word tangible and intangible assets into the policy going forward. So going throughout the rest of this year, we'll be asking the board to review that policy, first reading, second reading, and hopefully by year end, we'll adopt the change that our auditors are asking for. So those are really the 2 things that were on the agenda last week for the audit committee. The corrective action plan is on the agenda tonight for the board to accept. At that time, if it is accepted by the board and passed, it will go up to SED and OSC, which I believe is a January 15th deadline. Any questions by the board?
No, thank you. And so as we almost wrap up the report, I usually like to just quickly go over December 3rd was International Day of Persons with Disabilities. I'm very proud to be a part of a school district that really takes the level of care through our Director of Special Services as well as all of our administrators working collaboratively with her to ensure that our students with disabilities are receiving a quality education that is in compliance with their individual educational plan. We have students coming in as we speak, and there's a lot of care in looking at the IEPs that come in and looking at the services that we offer to ensure that their needs are being met. So again, I want to thank our Director of Special Services, Dr. Schimpf. December 14th, parent-teacher conference. Overall, amongst the three schools, it was about approximately 80% participation rate. It was a hybrid model. And our director of 21st Century Technology worked with our administrators to come up with a survey way so that we could figure out who was going to be in person, who was going to be remote. And so we'll really have to sit down collectively and ask ourselves what we will look like in the future. But what we know is the number really indicates that our parents are liking that choice. And it's so important that our teachers and students have a conversation. We also piggyback through Brian's, their assistant superintendent for business office, the annual early dismissal drill, which is a requirement of our district-wide safety plan. We were able to meet that need as well on that same day. December 20th is International Human Solidarity Day. It's a day of remembering the importance of us coming together as a community, as a world, as we come in solidarity and peace and unity to address the bigger issues of the world, such as hunger and climate change and looking at homelessness, all those things that matter. So it's another way that, as you can see, some of us who went to a concert at Clearstream, they are students who are part of the Giving Tree, where they have hats and gloves and they're donating it. The parents and teachers are donating, and they're going to give it to children, I believe, in St. Vincent de Paul Society, the hats and the gloves, and there was also a toy drive as well. So this whole sense of building our compassion in our global leaders of tomorrow, the ability to have concern and empathy for others and not just for oneself, is something that we do here in District 30. December 21st, the first day of winter. And it's a powerful day. It's actually the shortest day of the year. And after that, the days start to get longer. We start to see more sun, and everyone's health gets even better with the vitamin D of the sun. So we're excited about that. And of course, our science class, according to the grade level, gets a deeper understanding of the solstice and the axis and all the things that, remember that thing we saw on TV where the Harvard students didn't know that, how the earth rotates around the world, right? So December 26th, Hanukkah, Christmas Day, Kwanzaa. And if you just take a look at that picture, you'll see so many similarities, especially with Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. There's so much that unites us, although we focus so much on differences. You see the symbol and the use of candles and lights to celebrate either one's religion, and if not their religion, just the celebration of the holiday of people coming together. As far as enrollment is pretty steady. It was an overall 8%, eight additional students. And when you look at the overall attendance, it was lower in December, about 3.7% lower in December. And I think some of that was attributed to the respiratory illnesses that we're experiencing right now. It's not just COVID, it's respiratory illness, flus, and a general cold is still something that our students and staff are exposed to. And of course, it's the holiday. It's the shortest, 3 weeks of instruction, and then they go off. So we're hoping to see an uptick in the attendance. And with that being said, that is the superintendent's report. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. France.
Thank you.
And is there any public comments come before the board? With that being said, take a motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the business meeting of October 24th, the work session of November 14th, the business meeting of November 21st, the special meeting of December 1st, and the work session of December 12th, and accept the minutes as presented for those same dates.
Second.
Moved in second, on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And for our education report, trustee Cunning.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to move by consent agenda items A through K unless anybody has any items to remove. I move items A through K in the education new business report as listed.
Second. Moved in second, on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, trustee Cummings. Mr. Larry?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. For the business report, do any trustees have any items they'd like to pull out for question, comment, discussion? Being that there are none, I move that we accept items A through I as listed.
Second.
Moved in second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And trustee Larry, if you could do the finance report.
For the finance report, any items need to be discussed?
No.
Being that there are none, I move that we accept items A through E as listed.
Second.
Moved in second on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
And that concludes the finance report.
Thank you. Trustee Cummings, personal?
Sure. For personnel, I'd like to remove item E and move as consent agenda every other item from A through J unless there are some other items to pull.
Second.
So I move those items as listed except for item E.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Item G, on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, I move the Board of Education approve the following gate appointments as indicated below. Teresa Everly, gate 14 to 15, effective 2/1/2023.
Second.
Moved in second on the question.
I'd like to get an opportunity to introduce Teresa Everly. And I, as you know, the gate process involves the superintendent having an opportunity to do an unannounced observation of the teacher actually in practice engaging with the students. And then thereafter, we have a follow-up meeting where we have a professional conversation. I have to say that having the opportunity to see this class in session, it was a review of math topics. The level of vocabulary that the students were using was amazing. The amount of questions that they had for the teacher and give an opportunity to turn and talk and engage in discussions with their class was unbelievable. And their level of student choice. They were given this unique concept of if you're going to go work for independent work, you could now either go and be autopilot, you could go co-pilot and fly with someone and work with them together, or you could go to flight school. And flight school was at the kid and shake table with the actual teacher. And to see the students just get up and move while music was playing, I love music, and music is a great way to research-based. It does stimulate the brain when you're going into that independent or group-like work, was great. Our follow-up conversation, just about, I was here a couple of years back, seeing where she was before, and she was doing very well then, but to see the level of growth and this shift in really seeing not only a teacher within the classroom, but a teacher leader wanting to ensure that her fellow colleagues are also getting very up to date and a love for 21st century technology. I would have never thought that, but you should never pin anyone down. So it is just phenomenal. It is with great pride that I bring before the board and recommend Teresa Everly for her grades.
Ms. Malone,
Oh, I'm just there.
Oh, you're just staying?
Yeah, we have
So
someone.
I would be happy to speak about
No,
this.
no.
Well, I would like
But
to-
I just want to let you know that we have a video from your principal because he had an obligation to his family, to his son who was doing something this evening. So here we
So,
go.
I'll go after.
Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Garcia Franz, community members, and welcome to the Board of Education meeting. If this video is playing, it means that I was unable to get back to the meeting as I am at my son's award ceremony. But I would be remiss if I did not say a couple of words on behalf of Ms. Teresa Everly, our Shaw Avenue cheer captain. Talk about an educator who's prepared to the T, one who knows their students inside and out, and who walks into the building each and every day with a wealth of enthusiasm, patience, and purpose. Teresa Everly uses a backward design when she prepares her lessons and unit plans. She knows exactly where she wants her students to be by the end of each unit and works diligently in creating engaging, scaffolded learning experiences to build foundational steps to get them there. Teresa is fully aware of those students who need to be challenged and those who benefit from modified curriculum and accommodated methods. Either way, the students in Ms. Eberly's classes are always engaged, enthused, and always working with a purpose. Throughout the past few years, Teresa's instructional skills have shined especially bright as she works alongside our students with IEPs in our integrated co-teaching classes. It's her organization, her communicative strategies, her attention to detail, and her sense of urgency, and her non-stop reminders that motivate and enlighten students who may not get it the first time around, who have a tough time holding attention, and of those who may not realize the why. And that's what makes her a master of her craft. She clearly interconnects the classroom to the home and then to the students' everyday lives. And this connection is what helps them see the why. Now, speaking of enthusiasm, patience, and purpose, if anyone has ever been in receipt of an Eberly email or text, you know what enthusiasm, patience, and especially purpose really means. It's like she's enhancing the entire educational system with one single stroke of the keyboard, okay? They sometimes sound something like this. Hey, hey, hey. So, you know how we dismiss our students out of exit 6 and then that grade goes out and then this grade goes here? Well, I was thinking, if we coordinated this and positioned this here and then multiplied that by this number and then voila. And as much as I want to find an error in the plan or maybe put my own spin on it, it's usually a great plan. But this team player is always willing to share best practices and support colleagues, lend a helping hand to families and administration, and always uniting the staff. And that's the big piece. Teresa often sees the big picture and realizes that to keep a calm, cool, and positive culture in a large organization, you need unity. Not always agreement, believe me, not always agreement, but unity. Shaw is a busy, bustling place, and it's teachers like Teresa Eberly who brings it day in and day out, and who ignites and unites. Teresa, congratulations on a well-deserved gate.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations. Ken, I was going to say congratulations before I give you the first. I have the privilege of having a dual role. I took my mask off so you can see me smile. So thank you for the work you do above and beyond. I was privileged enough to see it both as a member of the board, but as a parent of a very active and inquisitive young man. And what you do in your classroom, not just for him, here we go, not just for him, but for your students, as everyone else has echoed, is something that he carries with him even 2 years later. And so when given the opportunity to come back and visit, as many of our students from District 32 and visit all of our buildings, he's going to come to visit because it's coming out of his report and because he remembers. I want to say that during the pandemic, Mrs. Eberly did not miss a beat, and she was on point online, and she kept them all on point and online. So thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations. I'm coming, Kevin. Items of information, Trustee Cummings.
Thank you, Madam President. The monthly maintenance report is attached, and thankfully no vandalism was reported. And we always thank the community for always looking out for our buildings and notifying anyone if they see anything. And that concludes the items of information.
Thank you. And there is no public comment, and so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Yes, I will wish everyone happy holidays, otherwise Ken will yell at me. But as Dr. Franz mentioned, in terms of all of the holidays and the diversity and inclusivity that District 30 has, I'd like to wish on behalf of the board, everyone a happy holiday season. Please stay safe and enjoy and celebrate. Thank you all.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved in second on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
And we are adjourned.